Hey everybody, welcome back to the Traveling to See channel, where we love to travel, love to share. Traveling's great on land, sea, and air. Come with us as we go and see together how much better our traveling can be. It was time to explore on our trip in 2024. We were traveling home from Indianapolis, Indiana to our home in Long Beach, Mississippi. And along the way, we stopped in Bowling Green, Kentucky to spend the night. And there in and around Bowling Green is Mammoth Cave National Park. We didn't have time to do a lot, but we wanted to stop and check out Mammoth Cave National Park. And in this video, you will see an overview of the Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky, ratings and reviews, our experience in 2024 in August, cave tours available, what else is there to see and do, what's going to be the next restaurant stop on this trip, and how to find other restaurant reviews on the Traveling to See channel. Hey, and check out our video in the links below for Rafferty's restaurant and bar. We had dinner previous night in Bowling Green, and check out our video on breakfast at Just Love Coffee Cafe there in Bowling Green. That was great. And here's a link to the website for the city of Bowling Green. It's a great place to stop. We often stop in Bowling Green, Kentucky on our trips up north. Now here is an introduction video about Mammoth Cave National Park. Check that out.
Nestled quietly in the scenic rolling hills of south central Kentucky is Mammoth Cave National Park. Nearly 53,000 acres of reclaimed hardwood forests and winding riverways welcome those who long to experience the longest known cave system in the world. The park is also home to thousands of years of human history and a rich diversity of plant and animal life, earning it the title of UNESCO World Heritage Site, International Biosphere Reserve, and International Dark Sky Park. Mammoth Cave has a mapped length of over 425 miles of explored passageways. Visitors can choose from a variety of cave tours, ranging from short and accessible to long and challenging. There are plenty of options to find your underground adventure. But there's more to Mammoth Cave National Park than just a limestone labyrinth beneath your feet. Adventure is also found on the surface. Park guests can explore surface geology, night skies, flora, fauna, and human history by hiking, biking, and horseback riding on scenic park trails. Trails in the park meander through the vast deciduous forests and rolling hillsides. They can be found along the main park roads near the visitor center and stretched across the park's more remote north side. Others may wish to hop into a canoe or cast a line and relax as they paddle along a portion of Kentucky's first national water trail that includes over 30 miles of the Green and Nolan rivers. Catch sight of clear springs, towering bluffs, and intriguing wildlife as you float along these serene waters. Whether you're planning a day trip or an extended stay, Park Lodging offers a mix of modern hotel rooms as well as historic cottages, all within walking distance to cave tours and park trails. And for those who want to sleep under the stars, camping is also available in the park's 3 campgrounds and backcountry camping areas. Come see what has fascinated people for thousands of years and continues to draw us to Kentucky's cave region. Visit us at Mammoth Cave National Park.
Quite the place, isn't it? It surely is. There's a map of the entire national park. Takes up a great deal of land. And here's their website for the National Park Service. And this will tell you everything you need to know about Mammoth Cave. More than a cave, there's all kinds of cave tours they have there. Basic information. They've got ranger-led programs. You can plan your trips. They've got camping, lodging, hiking, canoeing, bicycling, stargazing, fishing, horseback riding, all kinds of trails, all kinds of wonderful tours. Great place. We're definitely going back. We just didn't have enough time to actually take a tour this time. And for directions and transportations to get to the park, check this out. 53,000 acres. The park is a large place to explore. Luckily, finding your way around is easy with some trip planning. So here's where you can do your trip planning here on their website. Your cave tour tickets, and you want to get those in advance before you get there. And they've got directions on how to get to the park and directions to the different trails and trailheads. There's different ways to get there by car or ride share, bike, air, public transportation. And they've got a ferry there that you can take. We didn't have time for the Green River Ferry. There's a lot to see and do there. No doubt about it. Here's their physical address. You can put that in your GPS. Fees and passes, current conditions and weather, pets in the park, information. Very, very valuable information. So, cave tours. There are multiple cave tours. This on the website tells you about getting started for cave tours. Guided cave tour is an essential part of the visit of the park, naturally. So there's the information there, and here's tour schedules, and here's the fees and passes. There's no entrance fee to get into the park at all, which is great. And there, by the way, are free entrance days to all the national parks across the United States. But Mammoth Cave does not have an entrance fee, unlike a lot of the parks. They do have tours they do have fees for the cave tour. And here's a complete list of all the different cave tours. You see, they've got an accessible tour, and there's their prices. And you can click on these and it'll give you more information on the specific tours. And here's some fee changes that are proposed for 2025. You can also reserve a picnic shelter. There's camping fees at the Mammoth Cave Campground, the Maple Springs Campground, or the Ho-Chin Ferry Campground. You can see they take all forms of payment, and they've got occasional group fees. You can register for groups, and for commercial use, there's information there. How do you reserve a cave tour? Well, right there on the website, they've got an area for you to reserve your cave tour. And again, another listing of the different tours available, and some video on information you need to know before you go on a tour. And here's just some overviews of some of the more popular tours. Just absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Can't wait to go back and see it again. Now, they do have a Facebook page. You can check that out, but I'd highly recommend you go to the National Park Service website. TripAdvisor also talks about the Mammoth Cave National Park, and it's rated very, very highly, over 6,000 ratings, and they've got a page completely about the Mammoth Cave National Park and how to plan your trip and some things to do and ratings for those things. So they've got some ratings for the various tours that you can check out. Yelp.com, they also rate the Mammoth Cave National Park very, very highly. Now here's what we saw in the visitor center at Mammoth Cave National Park, the visitor center. Again, here's a map of the entire park, and there in the center you can see the visitor center, and there's a map of the visitor center area, the lodge at Mammoth Cave, and we stopped and checked out that lodge. You'll see that here in a moment, but here's the visitor center information. Park Visitor Center is a central point for visitors to orient themselves to what lies both above and below the surface at Mammoth Cave. It's situated just up the hill from the cave's historic entrance. The visitor center is the departure point for all cave tours and other exhibits to prepare you for the discovery. You can also meet a ranger for a talk or a hike. Gifts, restrooms, permits, and information are available, and visitor amenities are offered by the nearby Mammoth Cave Hotel across the footbridge. So here's what we saw our brief time there at the Mammoth Cave National Park. We drove up to the visitor center and we went to that lodge area. Stopped at the restroom here. Very nice facilities there. And we noticed this deer there behind the facilities. And right there are 3 different hiking trails: the Scenic Overlook, the Dixon Cave Trail, and River Stick Springs Trail. Right there's the trailhead for Green River Bluffs Trail. Was not far to the visitor center from there. Here's the visitor center. Very nice facility, lots of handicap parking there. And there's some of the exhibits there in the visitor center, and that is the historical entrance. That's where the tours, the cave tours, go. And here is a fellow YouTuber, Through My Lens YouTube channel, and he's got a great video on his visit to the Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky, taking the historic tour. So check this out.
Mammoth Cave National Park is located in central Kentucky, and it's both a national park and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The park features the longest cave system in the world, with over 400 miles of caves that they're continuously adding to as they explore more. Amy and I visited in January of 2020, so the information in this video could be outdated, but I'm trying to make a video on every national park in the United States, and I really wanted to encourage you to get out and explore this one, even if it's a little bit different than what I saw. I've been in a lot of caves, and this is easily one of the best I've ever seen. Be sure to check it out if you're in the area. Here's all the information. The park is located about an hour and a half north of Nashville or an hour and a half south of Louisville. We made it into the park right next to the welcome sign, but we gotta go all the way up here to the visitor center to start our tour. It took a while for us to get there, but it was a nice drive, and when we finally arrived at the visitor center, we checked in for our tour. The visitor center has a lot of great exhibits on the cave's history and how the cave formed. It also talks about how long the cave is, and our guide told us it could easily be 100 more miles. This is the 400 miles of caves that have been explored. There still could be more here. We walked around for another 20 minutes and then made our way outside to start our tour. What do you think, Amy? Am I gonna fit in the fat man's misery?
Oh, it might be kind of questionable.
Are you saying I'm fat?
It's a little tight.
Are you saying I'm fat?
You're a big man.
Definitely not as small as that woman. This is how the tours look in the summer. But we're here in the winter and there's only 8 people on our tour. When it's time for the tour, they'll let you know to gather outside and to wait for your guide. There are plenty of different tours that you can take here, but we took the most popular, which is the historic tour, and it's over 2 hours long and 2 miles of walking. After learning all the rules for the cave, the tour began by walking to the historic cave opening, which is pretty amazing to see. Plus it was winter, so it had some frozen icicles on it as well. As we headed down, our guide told us all about the cave and its history, and how we would only be exploring less than half of 1% of the known cave on this tour.
Heading on in.
The tour began by heading through a long passageway that was only about 8 feet tall before making our way through and into an area known as the Rotunda. This was an incredible part of the cave to visit in the beginning, as it's a vast ceiling with a huge cavern. They also have some gravestones down here that you can see as well. From there, we headed down a section known as Broadway, which was gigantic as well and provided some great views of the cave system. The path continued like this for a while, giving us lots of opportunities to take photos and just to take in the view. Eventually, we made it to Giant's Coffin, which is about the halfway point of the tour. And it does look like a giant coffin made out of rock. Here, the guide turned off all the lights and showed us the complete darkness and what it would have looked like with a lantern as well. From Giant's Coffin, you'll leave the wide open areas and enter a more narrow portion of the trail. I do have to say that I've been in a lot of cave tours, and if you're claustrophobic, this is one of the most narrow I've ever been in. It's not bad, but you should definitely know that going in.
Heading down to the lower part of the cave.
We made our way towards a section known as Fat Man's Misery, which is especially tight, but along the way we got to see 2 large pits that are in the cavern, one that you can barely even see the bottom of. They called this second pit the bottomless pit because back in the day with the lights they had, you couldn't see the bottom at all, but now with the lights that we have, you can see the bottom. It's a little short. From here, the cave enters the most narrow part, which is known as Fat Man's Misery.
We're heading into Fat Man's Misery.
This area is very narrow along your feet, and the ceiling is not very tall, meaning that you kind of have to bend over and try to shuffle your way through. It's definitely a single file area as well, so you have to take your time and wait for the person in front of you. This is the tightest tour I've ever been on. Pretty crazy. But look at Amy, doesn't even have to duck.
Benefit of being short.
It's fine in the beginning, but it gets more and more narrow as you continue on to the very end, which is only about 3.5 foot tall, and you have to bend over and do the last 15 or so feet at that height. Finally though, once you get through, you'll enter a large area known as the Great Relief Hall after what you've just passed through. The last stop on the tour was Mammoth Dome. Here you'll be at the lowest point that you're at in the cave, and then you'll have to climb the stairs to get back out. On the way, you'll see the bottom of the dome, which is really impressive, and you'll get to a large room with a flow stone called Butterscotch Falls. This was easily my favorite thing to see on the tour, and it's a pretty amazing formation. As you continue up the stairs, you'll get a sense for how tall the dome really is, and it is pretty impressive. Eventually, you'll make it back out to the rotunda and make your way back out the cave to the entrance. The 2 hours flew by on this tour for both my wife and I, and we really enjoyed it. Like I said, I've been in a dozen caves in the US, and this is easily one of the best. I can't wait to go back and go on another one of their tours, and let me know what your favorite tour is in the comments. Thanks so much for exploring this cave with us. Be sure to get out here and check it out. It's an amazing cave to tour. You can read more at throughmylens.com, and we'll see you on the next video.
And here I found another great video on the Mammoth Cave from the Dad See World YouTube channel. He's got a great video on his visit at the Mammoth Cave National Park. So check this video out.
Welcome back to my national park tour, where I'm trying to visit all 63 national parks. This time I find myself at Mammoth Caves National Park in Kentucky. In 2023, Mammoth Caves is ranked the number 8 overall best national park in the United States. It also ranks as one of the most affordable. There's a lot to see in Mammoth Caves though, so let's get started. Your visit will start in the visitor center. Imagine that. But here's a pro tip. Don't wait to get your tickets when you arrive at the park. Decide which cave adventure is right for you and get those tickets in advance. The more popular tours will sell out most days in the summer, especially the weekends. While you're waiting for your cave tour to start, take a trip through the museum. It's full of information about how the caves were formed, the Native Americans that once lived in the caves, to the cave's importance in the War of 1812. There's a lot of rich history around this cave. You can also test if the more adventurous tours are right for you. They were not. When it's time for your cave tour to begin, you will meet your ranger underneath one of the shelters. There you will receive information on how to behave inside the cave, because you know, people. The historical tour is a great place to start, but it is a popular one. It's just a cozy tour in a sometimes confined space with you and 100 of your friends. It's really not that bad. It's just a really popular destination, and they're doing their best to give everyone a chance to see inside the cave. Add to that, the historical tour is one of the easier hikes through a cave, which also gives it a bigger draw. One of the first things you'll probably notice as you enter Mammoth Caves is there are not a lot of stalagmites and stalactites. This is because of how Mammoth Caves was formed. But you'll get that information on the tour. The impressive thing about Mammoth Caves isn't the formations of rocks inside, it's the sheer size of it. It is the largest cave system in the world. There are 400 miles of mapped passageways in this cave system, and still another 600 to be explored. There's a great story about spelunkers exploring the cave, and after they had traveled for what they thought was a long distance, they popped their head out into this tour. Besides the historic tour, there are many other tours available. If you just have to see some stalagmites and stalactites for it to be a cave, then the Frozen Niagara tour is the one for you. First off, it's a smaller tour, only as many that can fit on this bus. It's also not a very strenuous tour. The toughest part is about 40 stairs down and then back up. But trust me, it's worth it for the view. If you really need some adventure, there are 3 crawling tours through the caves. There's Intro to Caving Tour, the Trog Tour, and the Wild Cave Tour. Part of me would really like to do this kind of tour, but then I'm reminded of this. On the way back out of the Frozen Niagara tour, I noticed this little area below which looked like it had man-made stairs. So I asked the ranger about it. He told me that this is Crystal Lake, and it is indeed man-made. It's only about 30 yards wide. So the person who built it would take people on lake tours, keep the lights low, and then just shuffle them around in circles for an hour. I mentioned that the ranger told me this story. Each of the tours I've done at Mammoth Caves, the rangers are knowledgeable and entertaining. Mammoth Caves is more than just the caves though, as if you needed more. Man, you're needy. There are tons of trails above ground too, including several that start around the visitor center. There's even trails with overnight camping available. Speaking of camping, I chose to camp for my accommodations. There are mixed campgrounds with RVs and tents, and there are tent-only campsites as well. The campsites are pretty well spaced compared to other national parks as well. It had also rained while I was there, and that made the campground just beautiful. If you were looking to sleep in a place that's a little less rugged, there are cabins which were being refurbished when I was there. There is also a lodge with more traditional hotel-like rooms. So then there's the area around the national park. There is zip lining, Zorball rides, canoeing, horseback riding, and if you need something a little more prehistoric, there's Dinosaur World. All in all, there is a lot to do around Mammoth Caves National Park. It would be pretty easy to spend an entire week there and find new things to do every day. So definitely put this one on your list. Hey, if you made it this far, hopefully you found me informative, maybe even a little entertaining. If so, spelunk your way over to that thumbs up and give me a subscribe. I'm gonna keep making these videos anyway, and it'd be super nice if it was more than just me and my mom watching them. Sometimes my wife. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
So I hope this was useful to you. The Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky, near Bowling Green. Check out that visitor center. That's the place to go. And there's lots to see and do there. Where will we eat our next meal on our way home? Well, to find out, you can like and subscribe. You can see those and other great videos. You know, the Traveling to See channel, we do love to travel, do love to share. And we've got playlists at our Traveling to See channel for the top 5 Mississippi Gulf Coast restaurants from border to border, and you can check those out. We've also got playlists for all the top attractions across the Mississippi Gulf Coast, which is home to us. We were having such a great time on this trip on our way home. So again, hope this was useful to you. This has been our review of the Mammoth Cave National Park near Bowling Green, Kentucky. We enjoyed our time. Hope you will too. Comment below. Share your experiences with us. Have you been to Mammoth Cave? What tips would you provide? Keep watching. Keep traveling. Enjoy life. God bless. See you in the next video.